But in reading that contract, I discovered that there were some very, very ugly terms in that contract that is not addressed by this amendment that they have. And I want to highlight some of those to you. Now, even though there's a new proposed amendment document, the legally formatted and signed, meaning it has to be in legal form for it to be an amendment, and it has to be signed by the parties. That is not available, but it did give councillors a handout. There's still some troubling terms and concessions which will give the concessionaire overwhelming advantage over the city. Now, the contract does not only cover parking meters. The man who formulated this is very smart, because the Ministry of Finance actually did a report on the parking meter, and they were very critical of it. In fact, they used words as, to describe people in the council as being incompetent, lack of business acumen, and so forth, to describe it. And they recommended that the contract be scrapped and start over, and they thought that there were grounds for that contract to be scrapped. Anyway, in the amendment that they presented, the contract does not only cover parking meters, but it covers garage parking facilities and also value-added services. That's very important to remember those as I get to them. The value-added services portion of the contract would be highly lucrative to the concessionaire, since it will include the provision of financial services, advertising, billboards, etc. And the city will only get 10% of net, that is after the concessionaire deducts all its expenses. In addition, the city will provide the concessionaire with city police officers, and he'll have real-time access to them. That means he'll be able to control them. They're his boys. He will also pay those officers. Now, in addition to providing enforcement activities related to the parking meters, the city will grant him the right, not the option, the right to provide services to the city of enforcing those parking meters regulations of the city which are not directly related to parking meters, including but not limited to parking in areas where parking is not allowed, double parking, and other such parking infractions. Now, this means that the city will hand over some of its law enforcement responsibilities to the concessionaire, to the contractor. Now, I don't know if you're comfortable with that, but I certainly am not. And if the city approves garage parking operations, and it is highly likely that they'll do so, then the city will provide the land for a concessionaire to build such facilities in exchange for the concession fee or consideration to be paid by the concessionaire. In other words, the guy will not be paying any lease fees or rental fees. After he builds the garage parking facilities, whatever portion or consideration he's supposed to pay to the city, that will act as the payment for that, the land that is provided by the city. And also, he'll have the right to purchase that real estate at current market value. Not an option to purchase, but a right, an absolute right to purchase. Now, according to the parking fee schedule in this contract, they have reduced it, but there are certain conditions in there that they call reversion. Even though it's reduced, they can revert back to the original numbers that they had in some cases. According to the schedule, you'll pay $200 an hour, $1,600 for an 8-hour workday, or $8,000 per week, or $32,000 per month. If you park and you do not pay, a boot will be placed in your vehicle's wheel. And you'll be assessed $8,000, which you have to pay then. And if you do not pay that within 2 hours after booting, your vehicle will be towed and you'll be charged $12,000 for towing. You'll also be charged $7,000 storage fee per day. And if you do not pay after 60 days has passed, your vehicle will be sold at public auction. It's there, it's in the contract. Now, no consideration is given to residents who have lived in the city and who have parked their vehicles on the road for decades due to the fact that they don't have parking in their yards. There are no concessions for businesses. And some of the adverse effects of this contract would be that businesses will have to move out of the city and less people will travel into the city to do business. In addition, residents will be forced to sell their vehicles because they will not be able to afford the parking fees. There are a lot of people who have vehicles, who save money and they bought vehicles just for luxury, to go out on the weekend, and they have it parked up there. And if they're not using it, you can see it's $2,000 a month. Some of those people only make $15,000 a week or so, or less than that. So this is really unacceptable.